and here today we at roboticview.com. By the way, please check out the website because we got tons of free resources. Also, if you're like really into finance, or if you want to learn more how to use Python for finance, so here I believe there is going to be this Saturday. We're doing this workshop. I'm gonna teach you more how to use Python for finance. So you see next day it's going to be November 11th, which is Saturday. So from 10 to, and we'll work for 3 hours. I'm going to show you how to use Monte Carlo simulation. I'm going to show you how to gather more information, economic data, financial data, manipulate data frames, and pretty much bunch of cool stuff how you could actually use Python for finance. Also, if you're on our website, don't forget to sign up for more free classes. You go to resources, Python for Data Science 101 is going to be next week. So we're doing again free live online stream. If you don't want to miss them, you could sign up on our website, or you could actually subscribe to our channel. All right, so today we're going to be talking about APIs, and we're going to be talking about Alpha Vantage. So why Alpha Vantage? First of all, it's free. It's my favorite one, and it's like a typical API for finance. If you understand how to work with Alpha Vantage, then you could work with the Bloomberg. You could work pretty much with any other API for finance or for any other topic. All right, now first thing first, you need to get authenticated. So if you're on alphavantage.co, you need to get your free API key. I already got my API key, so please go here, and then you could fill out this form, and then you click this get free API key, and they will get you free API key. While you're doing this, I want to answer a question. What is an API? Now, if you Google it, you'll find phrase that it says that it stands for application protocol. But what is it? Application, I'm sorry, not a protocol, in the application interface. But what is it? So let me give you my own definition of an API. Let me explain you what API is. Now, recently I was shopping for a fridge, and do you know that these days you could buy a fridge that will be ordering food for you? Yeah, so suppose you're running out of milk, and then your fridge will place an order with your local store, so then they will send you that milk, right? So how that stuff works, and of course I didn't get that fridge because it was ridiculously expensive. Now, how does that work? Now, you have to understand that there is a fridge that sends a request for information to a server, all right? And server sends some information back. Now, server might be working with different types of clients. Now, who is a client? What is a client? So your browser is a client. So we call browser a client. So when you're punching in some URL address, your browser sends information to a server, and then server will send some response. Now, fridge or cell phone or any other device for that matter is another type of client. Now, keep in mind, when your browser sends a request for information, server will send that information in HTML form, hypertext markup language, and then your browser will render all the images, all the, I don't know, fonts, styles, colors, and everything, right? Because we humans, we consume information with our eyes. Now, fridge or some other device for that matter, they don't need to see anything, right? So basically that information from a server will be sent in a different format. Like 99% that information will be sent in form of JSON. JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation, so that's a different data structure, and that's pretty much very popular data structure, so that's how server will send that information. So API is the same stuff on the server that will serve some data, and most of the time that information will be sent in as JSON. And let me show you how you could use Python to fetch that data from Alpha Vantage in this example, or any other API, and how you could manipulate this data. I hope you got your API key. Also, just to save you some time typing, I actually prepared file, and you can find the link to this file in the description below, so please check the description. So let me explain you what's going on. So first thing first, we need to install pandas. Pandas is a core Python library for data manipulation and data analysis. Also, I'm importing here matplotlib to plot my data. So what is this? Now, so that's another very popular Python library called requests, right? So requests is pretty much special library that in a nutshell will help Python to get online. Because keep in mind that Python is a programming language, and basically Python cannot send a request to a server, so here we need to use special library. Request is not the only library that will send that request for information. There are other libraries, and by the way, there is built-in module urllib in Python, but request is the most popular one. Another thing that you see here is that I have created another file. I'll call it password. No, you will not get access to that file. So the reason why I created this Jupyter file, you see, IPython notebook. So because my API key will be stored there. So that's a smart way how you could actually store your API keys. You place them in a separate file and then you just import them. So here I'm using this magic function run to import all information from another file which is called password. And then here I'm importing API key. I'll explain it to you a little bit later. So that's pretty much same API key that you just obtained from that Alpha Vantage website. But you see, in this case, there is no need for me to flash my API key, to show my API key. So I could take this file, for example, on GitHub, and that API key will be private. All right. So I like Apple, maybe if you also following the stock, and also please do not take this live stream as any investment advice. No, I just want to show you how to use Python and APIs. So here I actually created this symbol stock, so variable name symbol. And then first thing first, because all API is different, we need to go to documentation. We need to go to documentation. Now, when you get to Alpha Vantage documentation, here you'll find a bunch of interesting content. So for example, you could get intraday prices. I think they might charge something for that. I'm not sure, but you check. Daily prices, that's what we will take a look at. Weekly prices, bunch of other things. Now they provide top gainers and losers. You could get fundamental data. I'm going to show you how to do that. Income statement, balance sheet, if you're like in fundamental analysis. So that's going to be like your gold mine here. Forex, information about exchange rate, if you trade Forex or something like that. Cryptocurrencies, again, popular cryptocurrencies. Commodities, all the commodities, and here you'll find bunch of economic indicators. You see, also technical indicators. So again, Alpha Vantage, is my opinion, is very good source of financial information. So if you're planning to use some of that data for finance, you'll find tons of information. And again, some of that information is free, some of that information is paid. So basically, you go over documentation, you see if they charge anything for that. So all examples that we're going to be using in this tutorial, they kind of free. So I'm going to go to daily prices. Let's take a look. And this API, and in API they call them endpoints. Now this word somewhat confusing. Endpoint is pretty much same URL. all right? But it leads you somewhere and it serves you some data. So here you see it's time series daily, so basically they will get us historic daily prices for a particular stock. And you see there are certain parameters that would be required, for example function itself. So function is pretty much that's the stuff that will fetch that historic prices and will send that information to us. And you see they're saying that in this case function is time series daily. Symbol, all right, so symbol could be anything, pretty much any symbol from New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ would be your symbol, right? So output, you could play with that. Now you see data comes as JSON, pretty much what I mentioned before. Again, JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. However, you could get the same data as CSV file. I don't need if you need the CSV file because it will be much easier, in my opinion, to manipulate data when it comes as JSON. And what you need to have is an API key, so you need to have it here. By the way, if you take a look, here they provide an example. If you click here, they will show you what you're gonna get if you run that API. And if you take a look, that stuff comes as JSON, pretty much what I just meant, right? But this is preset data for IBM, and obviously we want to use some other stock, not IBM, all right? And let me show you how to do it. So you could just copy this from here, or you could grab it from my file. So let's get back to my file. So what I did here, I copied and pasted the URL or endpoint here. I assign it to this variable name URL. So you see this little f, it stands for format. That's a method of Python string. And here, the reason why I'm doing it, because I want to keep my code clean. And then here, I, using these curly braces, insert stock into that API endpoint. So why I'm doing that? Because right now I want to get information for Apple, later might be Tesla, later might be something else. So it will be much easier for me to change that symbol here rather than mess with this code. Also here I have API key, and later if I need to change my API key, I don't have to mess with this endpoint, all right? So let me rerun this cell first. Let me run this cell, this cell. So now that's the endpoint that I'm about to hit. So now I need to use requests. So request is, like I mentioned before, Python library, and we're using method get because we're trying to retrieve data. That's why we're using method get. We're passing here this URL, and then I'm assigning it to variable name response because I'm expecting response. So let me run this. Now I will insert a cell below. I want to check that response. So if you run response, you'll see that response comes as 200. Now, what does it mean? Now, when server sends information, it looks like a message, and in the header there is usually code. And you probably seen error message 404, page not found. So guess what? You could Google that information. Server on top will tell you if response is successful or if there is something's going on, if something's not working. So if you see 404 means something's not working, they couldn't get that information. From 500 to 600 means there is a problem with the server or with an app, and you could Google that information. From 200 to 300 means that information was successfully retrieved or sent. All right, so in this case we get the information. So since documentation says, and by the way, here you see they even tell us what to do with it. You see they tell us that we need to parse that data as JSON. So here I'm going to be using JSON method to parse that data. So let's take a look what we just got at the end of the day. So data just comes, and usually I would ask, hey, comes as what data type? Now you see, in programming it's all about data types. You need to understand data types. That's why we run in these courses at roboticview.com. So please sign up for our free courses on roboticview.com. And this is where we teach all data types and how to deal with Python and how to manipulate data and how to analyze data. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to run type, and type, this plain function will tell me that that's a dictionary. So that JSON actually came as a Python built-in data structure dictionary. Dictionary is okay, however, I'd prefer to use data frame, and data frame is a built-in data structure in pandas. You see here we imported pandas. So what I'm gonna do, I will take data frame, and by the way, another thing that I would do with the dictionary, every time I say dictionary, the first thing I want to do, I want to see all available methods, and the method that I'm looking for would be keys. So keys immediately gets me keys, because remember, what is dictionary? Dictionary is a collection of pairs, key and value, key and value. So here I'm immediately seeing all the keys, and apparently there are two of them. Metadata, I'm not interested in that stuff. I'm interested in time series daily. So that's why I use data frame, and here there is method from dictionary, and then I'm passing this dictionary that I just received from API. I'm using orientation index because I want to use these keys as my index, all right? And I'm passing this data into data frame. I'm running this, and this is what I see. So you see, now I have converted that JSON slash dictionary into data frame. So now I know how to analyze this data. All right, now another thing that I want you to pay attention on would be, okay, so that's a data frame, that's kind of cool, but the problem is that JSON always comes as a string. So if you run info on this data frame, you see I got object, object, object. Object might mean different things in pandas, but 99% it means a string. And you see, there is a problem. I was planning to do some research, some filtering, some I don't know what, some analysis on that stock, but that would be impossible. Why? Because closing prices, volume, and all other information came as strings, and I hope you remember that you cannot do math to strings. So that's why I'm using apply map. So that's the best way to use a for loop on a data frame to convert these numbers to numeric data types. So let me run this and let me show you the difference now. So if I rerun this df info here, take a look. I got float, 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 integer. You see? So you always have to think about data types, and I have converted strings to numeric data types, so now you could work with these numbers. However, there is one little problem. There is one little problem as always. If you do index, you see I'm getting this index, and although these look like dates, as a matter of fact they're not data type objects. So these just strings, so I cannot work with them. I need to take these dates and convert them to datetime objects, you see? So that's what I'm talking about. So we need to take care of that stuff. So that's why here I take that index and I convert it to that using this function to datetime. I convert it to datetime objects. All right, okay, cool. So now I want to calculate moving average. Now, if you don't know what moving average is, that's pretty much very important technical indicator in finance or in any other data analysis, because it will smooth data. But when you work with moving averages, you could do a bunch of cool trading strategies in finance and stock trading. So do some of research. And here what I'm doing, I'm flipping this data frame. Why? Let me show you why. Because if I take this DF head, you see it starts with 2023 11/8, which is today, but I want to calculate moving average starting from the last date. So what I'm doing here, I'm flipping this, and then you see now my top is June 20th. You see, I just flipped that data frame. That's what I'm doing here. And then I'm calculating moving average. So I take this column closing price and I'm using function rolling that will create this moving effect. 10 is number of periods. So since each row here represents a daily price, daily closing price, if you want to do 10-day moving average, 20-day moving average, whatever, 50, 200, whatever. So here you pass number of days. So in this case, I'm going to do, because I don't have enough data, just 6 months of data, I'll just use 10-day moving average. And then I need to use this aggregation method mean. And whatever I'm going to get, I will save with new column name MA for moving average. Now let's take a look what's going on here. So now if you do head, so then you see I'm getting NAN. NAN in Panda stands for not a number, missing values. Why? Let me show you why. Because first moving average kicks on what? Day 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, the first value for 10-day moving average we'll see on day 10. And frankly, I don't need that information. So if you were wondering how to deal with the missing values, one of the options would be to get rid of missing values. So here I'm using drop an A in place true. Why do I need to use in place true? Because I want to permanently save the changes. That's a built-in solution, so that would be the best built-in solution rather than assign this to another variable name, because I don't want to have a bunch of bogus data frames in my Python memory. So that's why I'm doing in place true built-in solution. So then I'm doing some filtration, because I want to plot max price for that period and mean price for that period. So you see I'm doing some filtration here. And just to make things cleaner, I decide, because I'm planning to plot something like this, you know. So then I'm deciding what's going to be my X values and what's going to be my Y values. X values would be dates. And that's exactly why we had to convert dates to datetime object. Otherwise, it would look ugly, you know. It would look ugly without this. Now, so that would be my X. I don't have to do it like this, but I prefer to keep my code clean. And then here Y would be the actual stock price. So now here I'm using matplotlib. I'm defining dimensions of my figure, of my plot. I choose style, and there is a seaborn. They recently changed that. Keep in mind that this seaborn syntax would work on the latest version of matplotlib, because before they were just using seaborn. Then they made a couple of changes. And again, if you're not sure what I'm talking about, you could always go to matplotlib styles, and then here you'll find all the styles, so you could choose any style that you like. I prefer to go with the seaborn, but like as I mentioned before, you see they changed seaborn, so now they got a bunch of different variations of seaborn. So, but that would work in the latest version of matplotlib. All right, so then I want to plot that data. X would be my dates, Y would be stock prices. I want to make it dynamic, so I use format method again for a stock. And then I also want to plot 10-day moving average, but I want to change line style a little bit. Again, how do you know all this stuff? So there are a couple options. You run help. If you want to do this on your own, so take this workshop Python for finance that we're doing this Saturday. I'll teach you this and much more. All right, so that's what we're going this Saturday. And here I want to plot this as bunch of dots with a label. Also, I want to use scatter plot to plot star on top, indicating the highest price for that period. And I want to also plot and mark lowest price. So take a look what's going on here. So blue is my stock price that I just fetched. Yeah, Apple's doing good. Apple's doing good. Again, no investment advices here. So then here we got this dotted line, so that's 10-day moving average. And here I'm marking that highest price for that period from June up to now, and that lowest price. And for example, if you're in algo trading and if you want to like plot that strategy using Python, so that's how you would do it. You could run a bunch of strategies, you could do back testing, and you could do a bunch of stuff, and you could visualize this stuff. So moving along, what if we want to get more information such as overview? Again, first thing first, you go to documentation and it comes from here, company overview. So here you see fundamental data, company overview. So if you want to get some information about company, so then you could use this endpoint. Again, here you need change symbol, and then you need to change this API key. All right, and that's exactly what I'm doing here. By the way, I created different variable names so they won't clash, and I'm using pretty much same stock symbol as before, but you could do whatever you like, and same API key. Nothing has changed for me. So now I'm fetching the data pretty much as before. And again, that data comes as a dictionary. So you see, there is so much stuff going on, it's impossible to see all that stuff, right? So what I would do, I would use keys. And bam, I immediately see all the keys. You see, I immediately see all the keys, and I could get that information. And there are like bunch of interesting information. So obviously description, book value. So I like to value stocks, and I want to compare different stocks. Maybe I want to go by trailing price earning ratio or forward price earning ratio. And if you didn't know, price earning ratio is price divided by earnings. So that's very important measure to compare different stocks and see which stock is more expensive and less expensive in the industry. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show, because I always get this question asked, like, how would you hit the same endpoint many times? Very simple. So suppose I have portfolio of stocks. I have Microsoft, Apple, IBM, Nvidia, and I want to know all the price earning ratios, so I could actually compare them. So what I'm doing here, I created new list. That's a built-in data structure in Python, called it PE, and then I'm just using for loop. I'm iterating through this list. I'm grabbing item by item, symbol by symbol. So call would be my symbol, and I'm calling this URL again and again. But guess what? Here I'm passing not one stock, but every stock while I'm iterating, you see? So first going to be Microsoft, then Apple, then IBM, then Nvidia, and so on, right? And then I just fetch that data, and guess what? since I'm working with a dictionary, I'm getting this forward price earning ratio. But we remember that JSON always comes as a string, so we need to convert it to float, to numeric data type, and then I create a tuple here. By the way, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, tuple, list, dictionary, how to deal with that, that's what we teach in our Python intensive course. And if you're not sure if this course is right for you, go to our resources, take free courses Python 101, totally free. Or by the way, next week we're doing Python for data science, where we're going to be discussing pandas, NumPy, matplotlib, free live online, November 14th at 6 p.m. All right, local Eastern time. Getting back here, so I package that data as a tuple, and I use method append to append this to a list. All right, might take a minute. So now let's take a look what I have in my list. PE here, you see that's list of tuples, where each tuple contains stack symbol. So I would know that 27 is referring to Microsoft and 28 is referring to Apple. That's kind of cool. We could leave it at that. However, we might want to take that list of tuples, convert it to data frame, and you see I'm converting this to data frame. So now I could do some analysis. I could find the mean and max, could filter it, or in this case, what I'm planning to do, I'm planning to plot this data as scatter. So let me run this. And as they say, a picture worth 1,000 words. So I see that IBM is the cheapest one with price earning ratio somewhat around 15. Microsoft is cheaper than Apple. Surprise, surprise. Stock price, if you take a look, if you compare it to stock prices right now, Microsoft stock price is higher than Apple as far as I remember for today. But Apple is more expensive stock based on price earning ratio, you see? I don't know. You think about it, all right? So that's interesting. And Nvidia apparently is the most expensive one, right? So it depends. You'll do all the conclusions yourself, you do math yourself. I'm just plotting data, and you see we fetched price earning ratio for all the stocks, and now we could visualize that data. That's kind of cool. So then another thing that I want to show you, you could also get some fundamental data if you're in fundamental analysis. Again, we get here, and here you could get in from Alpha Vantage income statement, balance statement, cash flow, earnings, all the main stuff for fundamental analysis. So here I'm going to be working with income statement. Again, I go here, I change IBM to whatever stock I would like to know about it, and then I change this demo key to my API key. So same stuff, different endpoint. You see, says function income statement, stock API key. I'm gonna run this. Okay, then same stuff, we need to use requests to fetch, retrieve that data from the Alpha Vantage, and we need to parse it as JSON. And then I'm gonna take that again. Let's take a look. First thing first, what did we get? Now here I use variable name income, and again you see it came as a dictionary. So since it's a dictionary, my first question would be, what are the keys? What are the keys? And here we see symbol. We already know that. Then we got annual reports. That's what I'm interested in. And then I got quarterly reports. Again, it all depends what you're trying to achieve here. But you see, you can find that all this information here. So then I'll take annual reports, and that's what I'm doing here. And I want to convert this to data frame. So let me show you what I'm going to get at the end of the day. So at the end of the day, my income statement data frame would look like this. See? Now, you could use it like this. It depends what you're trying to do. But maybe I want to use these dates as column names. So that's why you could use this capital T. Capital T stands for transpose. Now, what is transpose? If you remember linear algebra, so data frame, by the way, what is a data frame? Data frame is two-dimensional data structure. You could think of it as matrix. I'm not talking about that movie, by the way. I'm talking about linear algebra here. So since it's matrix, you could actually pivot it. So we pivoting that matrix with this function transpose. And when I run this and I run that, so now you see, I kind of pivoted the whole data frame, but I would prefer to use these dates on top as column names instead of 0, 1, 2, and 3. So what I'm doing next, I'm just using income lock. Lock stands for location. I fetch this data from here, and then I assign it to attribute of data frame columns. So now these are my column names, and I could work with this information. Keep in mind, you still need to convert it to numeric data types. Probably not this. You'll need to get rid of US dollars, and then all the values you would need to convert to numeric data types. So then you could actually work with them, filter, and analyze them. All right. Now, if you really like this video, give us your like. Also, visit our website, and we're doing this workshop this coming Saturday, Python Finance, where I'm going to teach more stuff. So it's going to be on Saturday, November 11th at 10 a.m. Also, if you're interested in Python or data science, please sign up for our free courses. Python for data science, we're doing free live online. All you have to do just to sign up, and you could ask questions, and that's going to be live online. And here you could check some of our courses. So if you're not familiar with Python built-in data types, if you want to learn how to gather and manipulate data using pandas, numpy, matplotlib, seaborn, if you're interested in machine learning, we got all these courses here. All right, so thank you for spending your time with us today, and then I'll see you next